Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Todd.
Yes. Yeah, come on in.
I had a meeting at Grand Lake, sorry about that.
No, not a problem. Most everybody's online actually.
Okay.
This is the future, I guess.
Just come show up in person.
I love it. Yeah,
How are you, Will?
I'm doing good.
I'm doing good, see.
Yeah. So can everybody hear us well online?
Can hear you loud and clear on my end.
Perfect. So today's Jack Mitchener's big day. Jack, he did undergrad in mechanical engineering and was in the senior design course designing doing some work for the Army Corps of Engineers in Vicksburg, and had designed a rebar material for concrete that after you put the concrete in, it would contract and preload the concrete automatically. And so it was a really cool project that he was working on. And I said, man, I don't know how I can convince him to stay, but it was COVID. So I just told Jack, I said, nobody's hiring anyway, so just stay in grad school. So, I made sure to call everybody and tell them, don't hire this guy, man. It's a joke. He had a lot of opportunities and didn't have to stay with us. But when he decided to stay, he said, well, I want to get 2 degrees because 2's better than 1. And so he has done his master's in business administration and completed that. And now this is his last step to complete his master's in mechanical engineering. She's done all of the coursework, but I'm really excited to hear about his work, which, because he was doing a master's in business administration and in mechanical engineering, his research actually ties the 2 in together. And so I'm really excited about it. I won't take it away, but Jack, you've got the thunder, so go ahead and tell us.
I'm Jack Mitchener, and this is my research project, my master's thesis. It's titled E-commerce platforms for a mechanical testing company. I'll kind of go over the agenda for today. I want to introduce the topic, kind of why we chose it, what its goals are for this project. Then we're going to look at kind of the research I did, security, accessibility concerns that I found during my research. Website development, marketing, basically actually making the website for this project and how you market it so people actually see it. And then we're going to kind of do a little overview of the website, do a demo, kind of see what I made and kind of what it's all about. So the introduction. So kind of the whole background of this is internet is, obviously probably the biggest invention in mankind. It's led to, multi-billion-dollar companies such as Google, Amazon, who only operate on the internet. And kind of the idea is, how do we incorporate this into engineering? There's already been some engineering companies that have done this, and also in that specifically with engineering, how do we apply that to a testing company? Was basically every single business in the developed world is on the internet or has some kind of web presence. So how do we incorporate that into a testing laboratory? So like I said, engineering companies have embraced the internet, and some of the more kind of impressive ones or prominent ones are rapid manufacturers like Protolabs and Xometry. And these are on-demand manufacturing companies that usually use 3D printing or other processes you can send a file to them, a specification of a part you want made, and they'll make it for you and then ship it to you all online. Some of them even have instant quoting features where you can upload the part and it tells you how much it will cost, how long it will take to make. And then the other kind of prominent one is MasterCard and Grainger, which are online catalogs. Both of these companies have been around for about 100 years, and they have extensive catalogs where if you need something, it's like Amazon, you can go find it. It's like Amazon for engineers, basically. So these companies have very extensive catalogs online and very well-developed e-commerce websites where you can order a lot of things, get it shipped to you, pay for it all online. It's all very seamless. You don't have to ever interact with a human. It's all on your own time, any time of the day. So that's kind of the advantage of online is it's makes your customer channel, your marketing channel, a lot more automated, streamlined, and more convenient for the customer. And kind of what our focus was is on testing laboratories, testing services. How do we get testing services for engineering online? So one of the things I did was looked at kind of testing companies online now. So, medical testing companies and also some engineering testing ones. So some of the examples people have probably heard of are 23andMe and Ancestry.com. These are business to consumer testing laboratory services, which I'll kind of explain what business to consumer means in a second. And then I found one that was Measure Labs and also other business to business e-commerce laboratories that focus more on working with businesses to get their testing needs done. But both of these companies have capabilities where you can order a test online, get the results, all of your data is managed on an online system without having to deal with a human or deal with a customer representative. So it makes it very convenient for the user. They can get their access to data anytime or order quotes online. And also another kind of aspect of this project is we're working with a company, Standard Mechanics, and it's a Starkville, Mississippi-based startup. It was started by a mechanical engineering graduate who graduated with his PhD 2 or 3 years ago, Trey Leonard. He's been a big help, and he's kind of let us use his name brand, his image, to kind of develop some of these concepts, test them out, get real data. And he's been a big help kind of for the goal of what an e-commerce platform looks like and kind of what his customers are asking for. So we've been able to work with them, kind of help develop the ideas we found in research and actually put them in the real world for use. So with that kind of the background of it, trying to make a testing laboratory website that can be used by basically not just an engineering company, but any kind of company. Let's kind of get into the research and both on the market of, is there a market for this? Kind of how big it is it? And also the e-commerce side of things of like, okay, what can we do on the internet that other e-commerce companies are doing? So kind of with the website, one of the things you want to do is, okay, what's the goal of this website? What is our objective with this? You can add just purely information, so just brand awareness, cost savings, immediate info. So brand means you get your name out there, who you are out to the world. So maybe if someone wants to search for, bikes on the internet, if you have a bike company, you can get your name out to the world and people have a better awareness of you. Cost savings means that you have catalogs online, kind of help information. So that way, instead of having to come contact a customer representative, take time out of their day, they can do some of that research on their own time. Immediate info, again, is very similar to cost savings where you can kind of get information out there so customers can make better choices of what they want to buy before they contact a human representative. And then also there's even more transactional features, more advanced, kind of what you think of when you go online to go shopping. So like a brokerage model, which is like a company, kind of like Angie's List, where you have businesses and consumers, but they really don't know what they want or who to interact with. And these kind of help you guide you to the proper business to interact with. Subscription models, so kind of like Hulu, Netflix, that kind of thing, where you pay for content on a monthly or yearly basis. And a manufacturer models like those advanced on-demand manufacturers like Xometry, where you can order things to be made that ship to you all on the internet. So all these can kind of be, every website will maybe have some aspects of each of these, but it's kind of what model do you want to do? What kind of goal do you want to have when you're making your website? That's kind of the idea we wanted to have before actually making it. Also, kind of a broader view or more specific view of e-commerce is what kind of models are there? There's business to consumer, which is kind of your traditional website for stores like Walmart, for example, big business selling to individual consumers. There's business to business, which is more large businesses selling to each other. So, like Office Depot selling office supplies to a big store to other companies. Consumer to consumer is more of like an eBay or Facebook marketplace where it's takes out the middleman and you can sell, antique stuff or use things to each other. Consumer to business, which is kind of a Yelp, Google reviews, where consumers kind of give their feedback to businesses and they take that information, either do something with it or sell that information to other companies. And kind of what we want to focus on is business to business. So we kind of know what area of e-commerce we're in and what to focus in on, because some of these strategies may work for other models, but not for what may work for a business to consumer model may not work for business to business. So it's important to realize kind of who we're targeting with our website. Another thing, this is specific with like the testing companies that we're trying to emulate, like advanced manufacturing. There's kind of different ways you can connect the companies and businesses together with the consumers. So you can have like a direct, the one to the left, telemanufacturing, have one main company service a bunch of customers, or you can have a marketplace where you have a bunch of companies together in one, market and serving a bunch of different consumers, and you can auction and bid on different ways to connect with these companies. And also like a localized one where maybe you have companies that are broken off by regions and have different service distributors serving companies in a localized region, or even one that's a user manufacturing where you have, like, for example, if you have a 3D printer and you have a bunch of people connected on the network together, someone at someone else's home can print off something ordered by another consumer. So it allows kind of people to do their own work without having to go through the big company. These are examples of some with additive manufacturing, and you could probably apply the first two to a testing company, or maybe even the first three. And it kind of depends on how consumers react to the marketplace and what they want from a company. So that's the e-commerce side of things, the website side of things. Now we're kind of looking at the laboratory testing market. So how big is the market we're trying to target with this e-commerce platform? So overall, just looking at everything from like civil testing to medical testing to government testing, it's about a $28.6 billion revenue market in 2020, about 10,000 businesses. And the one we're trying to target, the engineering one, is a very small percentage of that. It's in that miscellaneous testing group, so it's probably 10% range. And some of the major players in that market, you can kind of see there's three major ones that take up about 10% of the market, but 90% of the market's kind of all these other small companies. So it's a very segmented market, which allows a small company to kind of come in there and make a name for themselves and take some of that market share. There's not one domineering player you have to go against that everyone's going to use anyway. So an example of a testing website that we kind of looked at is NTS, and you can kind of see they have basic website information about us on the top, news and events, a blog, things like that. And they also have on the right a request a quote, which is a common feature of a lot of websites we saw. Of you click on that, you fill out a bunch of information, a form, and you kind of send it off, and you get an email later from someone else who's reviewed it. So it's not an instantaneous system. That's more of just kind of like a fancy email kind of or form kind of thing that you send off. So that's kind of what we've seen. Saw a lot of that with a lot of companies, and we kind of want to do more with that and make it a little bit more advanced than just a form you fill out with your name and information and kind of what you're interested in. Measure Labs, which is a company I talked about previously, they have an actual like shopping cart kind of thing where you can pick out the test you want. You get kind of an initial quote, and then you can check out. This is probably the most advanced e-commerce website I found involving testing laboratories, but it's still, you can't really specify, specific things you want in that. You can kind of say, I want, this quality test at this standard, and then you kind of get a quote, and that's it. So there's still some room for advancement, even with this kind of model. And also, there's not really a way to kind of see what previous tests you've have performed. There's not really a client portal that has different previous test information. So we looked at kind of the testing marketplace. We looked at e-commerce marketplace, how those kind of play together. And now we're going to actually develop a website with that information we gathered. So the website I used, the way I created it was with WordPress. It's a kind of a website creator content manager tool. It's got basically 43% on the internet, websites on the internet are made with this. And companies like the New York Times, CNN, Walt Disney all have platforms based on the WordPress backbone. And the good thing about WordPress is it's one thing, it's very ubiquitous, very widely used. There's a lot of resources for it. And also there's these plugins you can put in there that someone else has developed. And you pay, 10 or 15 bucks a month to do more advanced features. The two of those are WordPress forms. It's a plugin that lets you use to create the request quote form we'll look at in a second. And Sweet Dash, which is another form that works with WordPress, where you can actually make a client portal to have various customer management features with it. So that's the website, the first one I did. I'm not, very autistic, but that's kind of what I did. That's kind of the first go at it. It probably took me about a week to kind of really figure out the software. And then what we did was we actually had a professional web graphic designer take another stab at it and got this more professional one look. you can see at the top, you have, the logo of the company, you have a middle menu bar in the middle of, our services, about the company, the contact info. And then, so you can kind of see there's a logical flow of like who the company is, what do they do, and how do you contact them. And then you have a request a quote feature that we'll dig into in a little bit, and a customer portal feature that we'll also dig into. That is those WordPress add-ins I was talking about. So with that, so we made a website, but the problem is, how do you get people to actually get to it? And kind of the key to that is search engine optimization, which is basically making your websites be able to be found by Google and other, Bing and other search engine platforms. But the kind of focus for this project was Google, because they own 90% of the market. So if you're on Google, the world's going to see you. With that, there are these Google bots or crawlers, what they call them, that look for websites, scan them, seeing, okay, what kind of website is this? Is it selling clothes? Is it selling, cars? Or is it, a testing laboratory? And that way you can appropriately index them and rank them. So when someone searches for tensile tests or any kind of other engineering topics, the website will come up. So the way it does this, it does scan through the website, look for certain keywords, and it also looks for things like how much time was spent on the page, and the rate the content is updated. It's a 10-year-old website, or was it made a week ago, and how many times people visited it. So you can kind of see this. You may have noticed, like with like a cooking website where you have a recipe and have all the story of the whole, their life story about and then the recipes at the very bottom. That's to get you to scroll through and boost the metrics of the website. And there'll be other things like they'll make you click to see more of the article. Those are all kind of ways that companies kind of manipulate and get people to engage with the website more. So you can do that with this. That's kind of a more advanced feature with search engine optimization. But the main thing is having a well-organized website, making it so it's logically flowed, it has good information, it's just not spamming a bunch of words on there. It's actually a smart, well-written website with images and loads fast. And also the user engages with it, so maybe they actually fill in comments or they fill in the contact form. If you can do all that, then the website will be highly ranked by Google. So kind of some of the metrics, and I'm not going to get too deep in the woods of this, but these are some like the statistics you can get from a Google Analytics search. So on the left here is you have like a search query. So someone searched stress restraint, and it appeared 1,500 times almost, but no one clicked on it. So that kind of tells us that either the search result they're getting is not what they're looking for to get in standard mechanics website. They're like, I don't know what this is. It's not what I want. Another thing, you can see at the bottom, hole inspection test was shown to 450 people when they searched for it. The website was, and they got 14 clicks. And that has a conversion rate of 3%, which is 14 divided by 457. So that's showing you, okay, we're getting good results with hole inspection tests for whatever reason. Maybe we need to either develop that more or get higher on that ranking, because we're only ranked 9 right now. So that means it's the 9th website you see in the list. If we can kind of expand our, make it so we get higher ranking on search on Google, maybe we'll get more people to get the website, more impressions, basically a bigger inflow of traffic to the website, so more people know what the website's doing and who they are. Kind of another way you can look at it is, okay, what page is shown on the website, and are people clicking on it? So you can see tensile testing, 1,200 people saw the tensile testing page on the website. This is all for the year 2022, but 64 people clicked on it, so basically nobody. And then you have that, and all the way to the homepage where people saw the homepage standard mechanics and they clicked on it. So that's what they were searching for, and 15% of people clicked on it. So you kind of see, okay, whatever reason, the tensile testing page, when people see it on search, it's not doing anything. They don't care about it. And then that's kind of good that the homepage is, being clicked on in a fairly frequent way, because that means that people searching for standard mechanics, they're finding the company and searching for it and actually getting it. Another one was the hole inspection, which again has about 3% click rate. So people are searching for hole inspection, seeing that page, clicking on it. It's filling their search needs, and Google likes that. So they're going to rank that website higher than other ones. Okay, so enough of the statistics and all that. Kind of some of the concerns and challenges with the website that need to be addressed, especially with dealing with kind of sensitive information like testing information or security concerns. And it's, a big deal, like Equifax, that breach, 2 or 3 years ago cost them, nearly $2 billion. So, protecting customer data is paramount, or else they won't trust you and, they may end up going the business. So some of the things that you kind of want to think about when thinking of security is what kind of standards are out there. And probably the highest one is the ones with NIST. It's a government organization for standards and technology. They have a lot of resources that, even though we're not required to abide by them, like companies or public institutions like Mississippi State that deal with government research have to, but private companies don't. They're still kind of a good resource and backbone to kind of follow, to kind of emulate. So NIST 8171, that's like the highest one. It's what, if you're dealing with a defense contractor, you have to follow. So it's kind of overkill for a lot of companies, but it still gives you a lot of good resources. There's actually 110 controls with the certification you get with that. But some of them include having two-factor authentication, having a plan if data is leaked, how do you tell customers, having a training plan for client, people interacting with employees interacting with the customer data. They are trained and know what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. So stuff like that, or even having a data card that you scan in to get to the laboratory. All those are different controls you can implement in order to protect customer data better. So one of the
Is it working on the
it's
computer?
work on the computer. Okay.
Just flip the computer around. We're only a few of us in here.
Okay.
Maybe I can. Okay, there you go. Perfect.
All right, there we go. Technical difficulties. So some of the concerns with data security, kind of some of the principles are like zero trust. So you kind of assume that it's already breached. Someone's, the information is already kind of being leaked. So you kind of don't let any one person have access to everything, or also everything else is a containment. So having data that's only accessible at that time when it's needed. Encryption and all that is pretty standard nowadays. HTTPS website. So having a website with that technology with it encrypts your data between the person sending it and the person receiving it. And then stuff like the cloud-based services are a lot more secure than local storage. And also administrative distributed trust. That means you don't let one person have access to every single password, admin control, and all that. You kind of split it up between different people. So that way it takes multiple people to release, really sensitive data. So that's kind of the security concern side of things. Another side of things, accessibility. So there's actually been lawsuits in the recent years. I think these were both within 2015 and 2016. When Dixie got sued by someone trying to order pharmacy, use their pharmacy website, order medicine, he had a cerebral palsy and something else, and he couldn't use the website because the assistive technology did not work. So he was trying to order stuff and he couldn't, with the text-to-speech features wouldn't work. Some of the font wasn't small, the pictures that had text weren't clickable, things like that. So he actually sued him, and I think he won, and then it got repealed, but it's still it's still a consideration of this person couldn't use the website properly and he was discriminating against. So you don't want a website where someone either clicks on something wrong or orders something, in error because of a disability, because you can be sued for that, because some of these websites are considered public accommodations. Another one was Domino's Pizza. They were sued by a man who he's legally blind, and his assistant technology wouldn't work either. And this lawsuit was successful. So he couldn't order a pizza online, and he sued them, and I think the entire corporation got a big fine, and they had to fix the whole website to comply to some international standards for website accessibility. And that standard is WCAG 2.0, Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. These are kind of the universal standards for making your website accessible, and has 4 different principles: perceivable, verbal, understandable, and robust. So these principles kind of broken down. What perceivable means, like, can you actually understand the website? There's not any like flashing, pictures for like, someone with epilepsy, or font's not too small, or it's even like sign language on the video. So for people with, hard, that rely on that technology. And all these A, AA, AAA, that's kind of the different levels of compliance, with AA kind of being the bare minimum to be in compliance with disability accessibility. So understandable instructions are provided when they put required. So, there's websites laid out in the way where you can operate it without, being used to other things. So all sorts of these. I think there's around like 200 or 300 different controls for these. So it's a very extensive document. But most of it's common sense, kind of like what you would do anyway. You almost have to be going against the grain for a lot of these to be not in compliance. So kind of an overview of the website, and I'll maybe do a little demo here too. Again, here's the homepage. I talked about on the very top where it has a basic website breakdown of the homepage, the services offered, about, and also a contact form that you can fill out to get in contact with someone. There's also just 2 request a quote and customer portal features. So the request a quote, what it is basically frozen again.
Are you sharing a presentation or just, oh, there it is.
The request a quote, what that is, that little button you click on, it takes you to a form where a customer enters the contact information, selects the test. It gives you an initial quote, and the customer, once he approves the quote, that confirmation is sent to a company and sent to the customer as well. And we'll go into that and actually do one real quick, just kind of see what it looks like. And then the customer portal, this is again one of those WordPress add-ins. I didn't actively develop any of this except for putting the Standard Mechanics kind of brand on it. This is kind of, it has, calendar features, so you can see when stuff's scheduled, when you're expected to receive results. Office calendar, or office tab where you can see invoices, pay for stuff, see receipts. And then a files thing, which is a little shared, like kind of a OneDrive folder sort of thing, where it's a very secure, encrypted file sharing service. And then a messaging tab where you can contact, have a little web chat with the company representative. And all these, that whole website can be customized to where, you can include other things, kind of like timelines or marketing things. All that stuff is customizable, can be removed. Custom ones can be added in if you know what you're doing as far as development. So this is a very customizable template. This is not the only way to do it. And that's it, but I'll go kind of go ahead and go to the website, just kind of see what it looks like. So again, this is so this is the Standard Mechanics website. You can see, you can scroll down. And also another thing that's a big factor is mobile. How does the website look on mobile? Advantage for WordPress is it already configures that for you. So you can pull this up on your phone and it should appear in a mobile friendly manner where the buttons aren't too small. The content's not, on the side or anything like that. So there's also a mobile version of the website. So you scroll down, you see your services. These are the 5 that we picked for the Standard Mechanics company that they wanted to display initially. Then, custom testing, professional services, kind of gives, a breakdown what the company does. And each one of these leads to a page for future, more detail. Also a contact form at the bottom. So if someone's interested in all that, they can contact them, send an email directly to the company. So the request a quote feature, which again, I built this with the WordPress add-in. What a customer can do is, they can enter their name, email, address, and all that. But if you try to go without entering your name, for example, it stops you and says, okay, you gotta put your name and email first before we can continue with the service. There's also a taskbar at the top. It's a big, kind of concern. You want to give customers control of like, okay, how far along am I in the process? How many more steps are there? Otherwise, I'll just abandon it and you won't actually get, information. So just enter in my information. And once you enter it, enter your phone address and all that kind of stuff, and all these can be customized where I'll go ahead and submit it. Customize it to where you can't progress without entering the information. All this is stored on WordPress servers or in other, you can specify other servers too. But it's all stored on the server, so you can use that data to, assist customers later, or even, what the customers ordered before. Kind of have a, knowledge for future pricing. There's some acknowledgements not included. Requires you to check those before you continue. And these are the 4 tests we have right now that I kind of just threw on there that Trey can do at standard mechanics that, so for example, you can pick a whole expansion test. Ask them the customer of their machine, let's say no. And then you can select the quantity, how much you want, say 3. And it spits out an initial quote price that the customer can review. And then, lets them upload additional files, comments for testing. Once you do that, it gives you a summary of what you selected for confirmation. When you submit for quote, it sends the customer an email and it sends the company an email. And that way they can they get a notification and they can kind of go ahead and contact the customer as soon as possible. So that's one aspect of the company I developed is very basic instant quoting system. Another one is a customer portal where a customer gets you can either register if you don't have a membership now, or if you the company standard connects and set it up for them where they enter their email. So this is what a customer sees when they log in the portal. They can see what's, there's this message on the front on the homepage can customize. It can be customized based on what company it is or what kind of company it is. You can group into categories like a metal producing company or a car company or whatever. So they can see custom messages. So you can run different deals, promotions, stuff like that, or have it just organized. A calendar, where you can organize like your test, give them like dates when things will be done, or maybe meetings, stuff like that, onboarding, reviews. This is another tool you can add on here to help customers. There's also, you see Office where you have invoices and documents, stuff like that, where that's stored and customers can make payments on that through this portal. There's a little file-based style forge thing where you can share different test results with customers, so you can organize, when a test is done by date or type, that kind of thing, just depending on the customer's flow and how they like things. And the final thing that's set up is a messaging portal where a customer can contact a company representative through this portal. It's secured and encrypted. That way it's organized in this platform. All the communication is done through here instead of during like email where it gets lost or something like that. But yeah, and another important thing is this is all to the customer. This is just a portal that Standard Mechanics made. It looks like it's a seamless thing of like portal that Standard Mechanics. All that name branding, white labeling is done, so that way the customer's like, what's this janky website or whatever? It feels like it's all part of the Standard Mechanics brand. I think there's also some like app support or something like that I play around with, because I wasn't impressed by it. But yeah, that's kind of what I've done. Any questions or about what up, on the floor?
Well, we have about 10 minutes for questions. Does anybody have any questions about Jack's work? Make sure they're hard questions.
Well, I've got something, I'm not gonna say it's a question and nor is it a hard question, but more so a comment. And I wanted to say, Jack, it was a pleasure working with you. You did a phenomenal job. It was a pleasure working with you through this whole process. I'm glad that it was kind of a win-win for both of us, that you were able to get some really good research out there and see what the market looks like for mechanical testing, especially on e-commerce, which is, as you found, relatively untouched, except for that one company that's not even in the US. So I'm really excited to see how this went, or to see how this went.
You kind of a little bit trade, but I
what
think I
your
heard you
results
say
were.
like, this is not a kind of new ground of like, there's not many companies doing this. The ones that are is very limited. And the only one we found was a Finnish company that they launched theirs, I think, back in May of 2022. So this is a lot of, potential here.
Yeah, so the only other mechanical testing company that would launch one launched it in the same year.
While we were working on it, I was working on it beforehand. And even then, it doesn't have like a portal, and I don't think it has a customization of, you can pick, like different, for the hardness one, you can pick different indenters, different machine, specimens, that kind of thing. I don't think it has that. I think it's basically just like a shopping cart and someone contacts you later. Or this could be pretty much automated. You could add something like a shipping label thing where it prints out a shipping label, the customer put it on their specimen and send it off. And it's all that information's handled in the portal later. You could do that. This is kind of, how is your customer workflow? How big are you? Do you need that capability? Something like this is for a company like Stan Mechanics. They're just really small, kind of starting up. And, a couple of people doing, working on it. It's a little bit of an overkill thing. It can still be done, but and also depending on the customers, how much of a personal interface they want with the, human to human. But if you got large enough, you could probably, and you're well known enough, you could probably utilize this. You had something about accessibility?
Yeah, if you could go back to the accessibility slide, I thought that was interesting because I've never created a website, but that wouldn't be immediately obvious to me thinking about the accessibility concerns for people who might be blind.
It's very, like I think the Domino's one was 2016 or 2015, and when Dixie one was 2016. So it's a pretty new ground. But it is growing with ADA lawsuits since, I think I saw a chart in my research, like in California, it's like 400, and then like the next state's like 50, like in a year.
Yeah.
So depending on your state, that kind of, it's deal with doing ADA lawsuits, that could be a concern. But yeah, it's also a lot of it's, you have to kind of want to get out of the way. And like all these website builders and stuff like that, they already have templates that are laid out in a logical manner that kind of stop you from doing like contrasting colors, like having, a gray text and a black background that you can't read. But probably the biggest one is having text and images that's not be able to read by like a bot or whatever, like a crawler to the internet. Having your text in a way that's understood by like a program is important for those text to speech readers.
And with the A, AA, AAA, was that, you said that was like increasing?
Yeah, this is levels of compliance. So
What
like
would be the best?
A is basically like it's done like you can actually use it. Like if you have epilepsy, it's a big flashing screen, you're not going to have a seizure or something like that. Or their instructions, so you don't get to a website like how to order something, and if you don't know how to do it because you're not getting instructions, that would be like failing an A compliance. And then all the way to AAA, where like you could use a concurrent like a touchscreen keyboard or like a voice to text input. There's multiple ways to do, one thing, or even like having a sign language interpreter on a video. You see that's a lot more common now with like, especially governmental stuff that's included on like pre-recorded or even live ones. Even like the submissions reversible. If you notice in that form, I could go back at any time before I submitted it. You could even go further, maybe even go look at an old submission, have it recorded on the website, and even alter that before it's seen by company representative.
You know, I had a question about this, something that I think we had talked about. You talked about having a portal that would hold the data online. What's the value of doing that versus just sending the data to the?
Yeah, so the data is probably the most valuable part. That's what, is built Facebook and Amazon and Google is they have, petabytes of data that they can use to do like machine learning stuff or pricing or search rank index and stuff like that. So one advantage is, let's say you have multiple data sources from different metal companies, you can maybe have more accurate pricing models, or maybe you can kind of see a seasonal, distribution of things. So you can do surge demand, stuff like that. It just gives you more pricing data, more customer data. That way you can better serve existing customers and new customers. Gives you better pricing models. Even also, like if you have a company that has all their data stored on that server, you could they're going to be stuck there if they have thousands of gigabytes of data and it's well organized and is well accessible by multiple people company. There's no real reason for them to move it if they feel like the data is secured and easily accessible, and there's a future in having it on that server. They don't have to manage things like that, are kind of a benefit of having the data on one centralized source or website or whatever. It's also just safer instead of having it on USB drive on someone's computer. You're kind of trusting it with either professionals, like the data storage we're doing now is all outsourced to third parties that are specialized, companies that either contacting other data suppliers and they're doing it through their interface, or we're getting WordPress or like Amazon or whatever to host it. So it's a lot more stored, it's a lot safer, it's a lot more scalable because it's all cloud based now. So there's a lot of advantages to it, even without the value of it. The data itself, it's a lot of advantages to the company.
Yeah, I can see a lot of value with just myself and others, because I have a student or someone who's buying things, and then the student leaves, a new student comes in. Let's say we're talking about a company, an engineer is working for a few years on a project, orders a lot of things, and then this person leaves, next person comes in, next person may not know how they organized whatever information or even where that information is.
So with the Sweet Dash thing, you can do circles, what they called, and you can organize them by different companies. So you have, let's say, for example, like Toyota or whatever, have that own circle, and that you can have that company within a circle of like auto manufacturers. So if you want to run promotions or whatever for like whole expansion tests to auto manufacturers, you can do that in the software, and it's all organized. But you have like a Toyota circle, and then in that circle, maybe you have a manager that can see the invoices and quotes. And then maybe you have like a technician that can see the results. You can segment the data and access permissions within that software very easily.
That's great, because then no matter what the turnover is,
if something needs to be added in or dropped off or whatever, it's all, you can all do that on the portal.
And you mentioned another question I have is about the ease of quoting. You mentioned you wanted to make sure they knew that this was short and simple with 4 steps. What is the value of that?
So kind of you want to give one thing with the progress bar, and you'll see that a lot with like Amazon, Domino's. You'll have like the pizza tracker thing. You kind of, the bar is saying, okay, here you're getting somewhere. You'll eventually get a stopping point. You're halfway done. You're 75% of the done. Keep pushing through. But you want to make it easy and accessible. One, for legalities concerns, people would actually use it. And two, just to make it simple, because there's not, you can maybe get more specific on how you want to do the test, the timing, stuff like that. But there's not much value to be gained in that for this kind of company. Maybe for something like an airline or like a ticket, getting your ticket on a specific day and a specific seat, specific road and all that. There's a lot of value to that. For this, it's more of like a convenience thing of like, you want to make it easier than having to pick up a phone and call somebody and go through that channel. So that's kind of the ideology you want to use with this form request and quote system. Is simpler is better, and get into the weeds of things. If you're going to call someone on the phone anyway, just explain it. Then you kind of want to stick to standardized things.
I will say it. Anytime I have to think about ordering something and I've got to call someone and leave a voicemail and have a meeting with them, that I just dread that. So
Trey said, is the computer muted? I think he might have been just trying to say something. Might have been cutting out like it was before.
Can y'all hear me now?
You're on.
Can you hear me?
I think it's probably just a bad connection.
Yeah. I can't hear you, Trey, sorry.
You can't hear it?
We can see it.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions or comments for Jack? From online or live, going once, going twice?
So.
That's it? All right. Thank you so much, Jack. All right. Well, that concludes the public portion of this presentation. I need to meet privately with Jack, and you know, I can tell you you're about to get grilled hard. So thank y'all